So Synduality Echo of Ada launched last week in early access. It's a game from the Synduality Noir anime universe, and today I'm going to be giving my impressions of the launch state of the game on PS5. After putting in around 15 hours, the only thing I can really say is that I'm disappointed. Yeah, it's pretty depressing, guys. If you remember last month when the open beta came out, I made a preview impressions video mentioning that the game had potential and was interested to see what the launch had to offer. The preview build I played was back in November from an event that Bandai Namco invited me to. While the game did have some issues, everyone present at the event gave our impressions and improvements that we wanted to see in the game. While some aspects did improve, many actually got worse. And in this video, I'll go through it all. Before we get started, I do want to thank Bandai Namco America for providing me a free copy of the game. I also purchased a copy of my own in order to play co-op, which actually depresses me even further. Yeah. Moving on, let's start with the story. I have already given a lengthy assessment of the story mode missions in the preview impressions video. If you haven't watched that, make sure to watch it to get an idea of where things were a couple months back to what things are now. Basically, you're a drifter in this world and you're given a humanoid android as a companion. These androids are called Magus, who accompany you throughout your entire journey. The goal is to pretty much collect resources, build your garage, upgrade it, and uncover secrets of the past through these story missions, which unlock as you progress through leveling up different factions. You basically complete their fetch requests to level them up. In these story missions, you collect audio and video logs, which give you insight of the events that unfolded in the past that led to the destruction of the underground city, while following the story of a specific drifter called Alba and his Magus, Ada. If you're looking for any type of story content, you're only going to get it through these logs. Everything beyond these logs are just the extraction shooter bits. The story, in my opinion, isn't that engaging because the order in which you get these logs aren't chronological. This gives a certain dissonance to the story experience, and honestly, I stopped caring after the first few missions. There was such great potential to incorporate the anime universe a lot more, but with what I've played so far, the story aspects are just kind of sad and not really that appealing. That's really all I can say about the story so far, because out of the 95 plus logs you can potentially get, I only unlocked 16. Reason being, after 15 hours of game time, only 3 story missions unlocked. Yeah, let's just say the game is definitely on the grindy side. Now, before I start ranting about the story being given in pieces, let's talk about the gameplay. You start by creating your Magus, customizing them however you want, from body dimensions right down to the voice. Then you can give them a Magus ability. There are 5 abilities to choose from, and you have to be careful here as you'll be stuck with this ability till you can use a ticket to remodel the Magus. Sadly, these tickets, as far as I can tell, are items you need to buy with real money. Now, if you're buying this game on its standard launch, I suggest getting the heal ability as it will save you a lot of headaches. The rest are somewhat average. After creating your Magus, you're sent into the giant map to pretty much do extraction type missions while completing requests for different factions and also upgrading your garage. These requests are basically fetch quests and kill a certain amount of certain enemies missions. Non-stop, endless fetch quests that are absolutely boring and soul draining. I'd understand if this was the first 2 hours to build up some money, equipment, and to build your garage, but beyond that, you'd expect the devs to put in some interesting missions to give us variety. That word has special meaning in this video because the game doesn't provide it that much. Just like how the missions aren't varied enough, there's not enough variety in the enemies, weapons, or the mech-related customization. 15 hours I put into this game, and so far I've fought 6 types of enemies. We got a Chaser, which is a dog-like enemy, comes in 3 colors, basically got more health and does more damage depending on the color. Then we got a Gazer, which is like a scout that flies around and tries to spot you. Comes in 3 colors as well. We also got a centipede-looking enemy called the Incubator. I've only seen 1 color for this. It's basically an enemy that goes into the ground and pops up to attack you. We got bandits, who are basically AI player killers. These enemies can sport 3 different looks. Well, so far I've seen 3. Depending on their color, their weapons, damage, and health also change. Next, we got a Corrupted Drifter. These purple mech enemies are basically another bandit type enemy, but do considerably more damage and have giant glowing purple weak points. Lastly, we got the Bandit Boss, which is a rare enemy that spawns once in a while and is pretty much like a bounty target. Killing this enemy gives you 100,000 bucks, which is the highest reward I've seen in the game so far. But I highly advise people to stay away from this enemy. It's got way too much health, fitted with top tier weapons that can shred you in seconds, and pretty much cause you to lose all your stuff. Oh, that's right, I forgot to mention, this is an extraction shooter. Unlike other games where you have specific maps which you go to combat it out, to collect loot and do extraction stuff, this whole game, other than the story mode missions, is pretty much an extraction looter. Meaning if you die while exploring the maps, all your equipment and loot is lost. Even the ones you pay for, which in my opinion is bullshit. Imagine paying real money to get an in-game item only to lose it forever if you die. Yeah, real nice. This is one of the reasons why I suggest people not to buy anything in the game, as if you kit yourself with the coolest looking stuff and go into the map, you're pretty much a target. Every other player will want to kill you and loot your cool stuff. Once you lose it, it's gone for good. The game is pretty much a paradise for player killers, which just leads to them griefing other players for their stuff. Now, during the preview that I got to play, this wasn't really an issue for me, as I was told there would be a single player experience, which would be the story mode missions. I was like, cool, no issue here. Come launch, I can just spend a couple hours doing some extractions and then focus on the story. Yeah, not really. The devs had other ideas here. You're pretty much forced to play the extraction part of the game, as it's the only way to unlock the story mode missions. Chapter 1 of story mode missions unlocked after I did 3 to 4 hours of extraction mode requests for the factions. After that, I got to play 3 story mode missions, each one around 30 minutes. To be fair here, and to give credit to the devs, story mode is quite different. You enter the missions with preset loadouts with defined paths to explore and tough enemies to fight. In the preview back in November, weapons had durability and they were total crap. I basically had to change a weapon after every 2 to 3 fights. Now it's completely gone in the launch version, and I was able to use my favorite weapons start to finish for each mission, which is fine and all, but the issue I have with the weapons is there's not enough of them. You got 5 weapon types: assault rifles, submachine guns, burst rifles, sniper rifles, and shotguns. That's it. That's not enough variety to keep the gameplay interesting for more than a couple hours. Now, what the devs did here is split the ammunition types into 2, either energy or impact based. But all this does is it causes unnecessary confusion and complication to the gameplay. Many times you'll find ammo for an energy-based assault rifle while you have an impact-based assault rifle, or vice versa. The devs just camouflage the ammunition types as weapon variety, when in reality there are only 5 weapon types, which is not enough in my opinion. Moving on, enemies in the story mode missions are still the same old enemies you'll encounter in the extraction mode maps, though you will fight way more bandits in these missions. You also have other equipments like grenades, repair kits, etc. that help you during these fights. Now, I wanted to continue grinding the stupid repetitive faction requests and upgrade my base till new story mode missions unlocked, but after 15 hours they never did, they never unlocked, and I honestly just got bored with the fetch quests. Let's just do some quick maths here. If there are over 95 logs to get in story mode, and each mission giving 5 to 6 logs, also factoring in each chapter having around 3 missions, that's about 16 to 18 missions. I've unlocked 3 after 4 hours and still haven't unlocked more after 15 hours. This is an insane amount of grind and repetitive torture to go through to experience the lackluster story. I got a life outside of video games. Most people think because I make long gameplay videos and full game videos that I just sit there non-stop playing and editing. If it's not a grind fest and it's a really fun game, I might play non-stop, but not something like this. Funny thing is, the game came out last week and it's been in early access for about 5 days now, and I put only 15 hours. Reason being, after 2 to 3 hours of game time per day, I had to take a break due to the excessive boredom I was feeling. In contrast, Dynasty Warriors Origins came out last week and I put in around 40 hours within 2 to 3 days. Sure, Dynasty Warriors Origins had some grindy moments as well, but it gave me a constant feed of story for me to get hooked on. And the side stuff on the map was optional, not mandatory. I know, it's like comparing apples and oranges, but you get the idea. Before I move on to performance and stuff, we gotta talk about a couple more issues. The first being the Magus. I made a female Magus and she just wouldn't shut up. Constantly talking, constantly repeating things. It got to a point I had a serious headache and I had to take a nap. If you go into combat, she will say a line for each action taken, or when an enemy pops up, or dies, or even when you pick up stuff. Now let me be very clear here. I mentioned this annoying character back when the original closed alpha ran. I also mentioned it to the devs during my visit to the preview event in November. Even other people mentioned it. Tons and tons of people who participated in the open beta back in December mentioned it. To no avail. The devs either forgot to tone her down or simply didn't care. All we needed was a simple setting to keep her chatter low. But no, not even that. Next thing that ticked me off is the pay-to-win battle pass. Yeah, you heard it right. You can pretty much get the best weapons and armor by purchasing the levels in the battle pass. It has high-level weapons, mech parts, etc. I forgot to mention this about the mech parts. The customization of the mech parts aren't that great because each comes as a set. So if you mix and match, you're not getting the set bonuses. And, you can't create higher level mech parts until you reach a certain level of a battle pass or you go through a certain amount of fetch quests, etc, etc. The customization goes through mostly to the Magus, which honestly is okay if you're into like anime waifus and stuff like that, but like I want to customize my mech, and after 15 hours I have maybe 3 or 4 mech type parts, like the starting kit, the pre-order one, and 2 others, and honestly it's not enough in my opinion. Now with the battle pass, after 15 hours I got it to pass level 8, whereas there's I think 70 levels. If you're a whale, you can easily unlock endgame weapons and armor and breeze through the game. Now most of the time this wouldn't be an issue because, if you're just playing single player, you can whale through, get whatever, just beat the game. But this is an extraction shooter. With these high level gear, you can destroy other players, especially starting players. I know because I got taken down by someone who had insane armor and a really powerful SMG on my other account. The game doesn't match you based on your gear or anything like that, so a starting player can be dropped in the same map as someone who bought levels in the battle pass, who has higher level gear and can pretty much take out the starting player in a second or two. This is a huge issue, as don't forget, once you lose your items, you can't get them back. Of course, you can insure them to reclaim the monetary value within in-game money and be given starter weapons and gear, but if you spend actual money, real life money on things like the pre-order armor, etc., those things are gone for good if you die. Next, we got the aiming. I highly suggest turning the aim assist off in the menu, as the game just messes with your aim during normal play. I had moments where I would line a perfect headshot and the aim would just change itself to the side. Even with aim assist off, the aim can still mess up. I'm not really sure if this is a bug or a glitch, but it's quite annoying in the game where resource management is paramount. Now, this is not something only I experienced. I've asked around a couple of my subscribers, my friends, they've also experienced this as well. The last thing to talk about is co-op, which is really sad because it's pretty much a dead system. Now let me explain how this works. Once you complete 2 to 3 hours of requests in the start of the game, you unlock the ability to co-op with players you meet on the map. You can request cooperation and pretty much do one objective together. That's the extent of co-op in this game. You can't form guilds, teams beforehand or anything, meaning the sole reason I spent money for the extra copy of the game was pretty much worthless. My friend and I wanted to play co-op from start to finish, and we were unlucky in ever dropping into the same server. That was the final nail for me to stop playing the game. In a game where there is so much repetition, so much grind, having some form of co-op would have made things enjoyable. At least a little bit of enjoyment, while you're just playing with a friend, tackling things together. But it's not meant to be for this game, making your experience somewhat soul draining. Now, I played the game on PS5 Pro. It was a pretty smooth experience. No connection issues, crashes, or glitches. Gameplay is smooth enough. Had no issues there as well. I do remember the game having screen tearing during my time at the preview event. It's pretty much gone now, so kudos to the devs for fixing that. The game doesn't have an enhanced version on the Pro, but it runs at a pretty stable 60 FPS in performance mode. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm pretty exhausted after today's session with the game, and I'm done with the game. I basically am making this video. I was supposed to make a review for the game, but I don't know, guys. It's just too much of a time investment with the grind. It feels like a chore to play, and honestly, it also feels like a job, an actual job. Games shouldn't feel like a job, and it shouldn't feel like a chore that you want to just complete and get to the next part. They should be fun. That's the point of gaming, to have fun. After the initial 2 hours at the start of the game, I actually stopped having fun. I'd understand if this was a free-to-play game. Yeah, adding a pay-to-win battle pass with excessive grind is common in free-to-play games, but this game is $55 in Canada, so there's no excuse. Even if this was a free-to-play game, there are games like Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact that are free-to-play games with microtransactions, so I'm not saying that they don't have microtransactions. But they actually give you the story up front without needing to grind at all. That's what's baffling me. Even a game like Suicide Squad, which I hated last year, that game had a ton of grind close to the end game, but it focused on the story at the beginning and gave me a hook for me to grind for throughout the game. If you're planning to get this game, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into and that you're actually going to put yourself through it. And that's all I can say. Maybe watch something on the side while you grind the same types of fetch quests over and over again. Those are my impressions of the game so far. I really wanted this game to be good. I was hopeful that there would be more variety during launch, but that's not the case. I'm just depressed and sad. You know, it's like it's a mech game. I really enjoy playing mech games and stuff like that. It's also got anime elements, and I was hoping that they would bring in you know, aspects from the anime and stuff like that, but nah. Maybe the game gets really good after 40 hours, but I'm not really interested in sticking around for that long. That's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.